welcome to the Black Diamond podcast. We're here in Nashville for Splash 2025, and our topic today is AI. I am here with a panel starting with
Carl Yost, Vincent Valentine,
Daniel Hopson, and Randy Werder.
welcome. So AI is really the topic of the year. It's been a couple of years right now, but we're really talking about it lots. So what does it mean? What are we talking about? We saw yesterday in the keynote that 75% of CFOs want to talk about AI now. What are your thoughts on that, about what the executives are thinking about on AI now?
I think one of the most amazing things that we have in our career right now is this concept and this blessing of AI. The thing that has been really surprising to me is the genuine interest from the executives in this topic. So they've always been interested in performance management and OneStream, but now I think there's a totally different kind of lens to that kind of priority and their interest in the topic and how they're using technology. I'm not convinced that a lot of my executives knew exactly how they were, executing some of these processes, but they're just so much more focused on that today. I would say that, there's a lot of curiosity. We tend to have, a lot of AI events around the country, and I'm just so surprised that just, they come and they really are searching for kind of knowledge at this point. And I'm very, very pleased with, the opportunity for us to share kind of our practical stories and some of the vision we have for OneStream and for AI and those topics.
Yeah, for myself, it's certainly looking at the change aspects associated with this. This is going to be quite a fundamental change and shift. From just doing everything in Excel and everything and anything in Excel, and sometimes even too much, and kind of seeing that change happen through the organizations. I think that's going to be one of the big challenges for the leaders to try and get that implemented and understood, even because a lot of accountants such as myself were pry Excel out of my cold dead hands. It's not going to happen, right? So that's definitely something that I'm interested to see from that perspective.
Yeah, and I think to touch on those points about how you get to that change and start to implement that change, it comes down to education. Right? It's not just teaching people how to build AI and what you can do there, but actually the executive and leaders in the organization to start to look at how we can craft that, how we should start messaging that within the business and actually start to drive that push down from the top. Say, how are we looking at this? Where can we use it? And, where shouldn't we use it?
Right.
And I'm going to echo a little bit of what Carl said is the executives generally have a somewhat hands-off approach with performance management. They're involved, but they're not involved. They're really engaged, very curious about AI. And you can see that by who's attending events. The conferences and sessions that you have on AI are packed with leaders and thought leaders from these different companies. They're very much interested in what the future holds.
And I would say, Randy, one of the things that's been so fun is we actually get a chance to re-educate around OneStream.
Right.
Re-educate about what the underlying components are they have and how those work, right? It's just been so amazing to get a chance to hey, did you realize that this is what you have today and the platform you have is already kind of ready to take advantage of that, right? Because they don't know those things today, right?
It's interesting that you say re-educate, because we hear AI, large language models, but really what is AI, right? What are we doing with AI beyond the buzzwords?
There's a lot going on there. You just two broad categories are you talking about just the numbers and just sensible AI that OneStream's got from a platform perspective? Or are you talking about the large language models? Are you talking more about the predictive things that you see a lot of in ChatGPT, and how is OneStream now incorporating some of those language models into their platform as well, with some of the agents coming up? So there's a lot going on, Greg, and you're absolutely right that education of what is AI and not just using buzzwords. It's one of the things that we're really working hard to kind of help our customers, right, and future prospects as well.
Yeah, Vincent, it's putting a legitimate plan to reality. Let's stop talking about it. Everybody can talk about AI endlessly. But what does it mean? Let's put some real tangible plans and roadmaps around what are we going to do. Everybody has said it's coming. Well, it's here. So what do I do? So that's kind of what I see.
Right.
It's just kind of building on that, I guess, is are you still trying to figure out your model, right? Do you even have a model? Like, do you understand your metrics? Like, lots of people that we visit, like clients we visit, sometimes they don't even know what they need to achieve. And if you're still sitting and struggling with like stage 0, you're not going to be able to just jump AI. It's not going to just solve your problems for you. I don't believe it is right now anyway. I think maybe something in the future that could be something that it could do, but you do need to get back to some of the basic things. And we've spoken about that throughout BDA's success has been, something like driver-based planning. Whilst that seems rudimentary, it's necessary because it tells you what your business is doing and how your business works. And it's been successful, but it's required to kind of get to that next level. You do need to take some first steps, I believe, Randy, very much.
So it's not a magic wand, is what you're saying. You brought up driver-based planning, which was really one of the buzzwords, the previous in our space, right? So how does one get from driver-based planning to AI, and what is the leap? Is that a giant leap? Is it an regression? What are your thoughts on that?
I think one of the first steps for me is to understand the connectivity between the information. So your driver-based planning is all about, what we did in the past, how we can use that to inform the future. I think as you start to move towards some of the more AI-driven models, is actually to look at the connectivity between some of your operational metrics and the finance metrics and how they connect together. And that's when you can really start to use AI to drive out your plans.
Let's say AI could help you inform some of your drivers as well. Like, what are the right drivers, right, in the first place? Because for the most part, where people start with drivers is, I don't know, right? If these look good, or same as last year, plus 2%, right? That's like generally what people do when they say driver-based planning. It's like, so much more beyond that. But coming back to something we spoke about earlier, it's also even just is letting go of some of those Excel models. That is its own impediment just to get to driver-based planning we've seen as well. Like, people just want the exact number in a forecast. And it's like, well, do you actually know the future perfectly? Is your crystal ball working? Because mine doesn't work so well. So we really want to help you kind of get to that next level, but we have to mature through driver-based planning first, and then just get to some of the more AI stuff on top of that.
Right.
I think it helps inform that for sure.
Greg, I would say though, I think the question you ask, I think we have a real responsibility at Black Diamond to actually answer that question, right? That's our job,
Right.
Is they are literally coming and saying, what is AI? What can I do? Right? And as opposed to basically responding with the articles and the discussion, I really like where Vincent's headed. And this is kind of where we're trying to head, which is like, listen, we actually have to start, right? And take very small incremental steps and really build, your capability. So if you said driver-based modeling, that's great. Now let's pick a few of those drivers and start to use the technology to better inform. One of the other things that's been so fascinating with our clients that have really adopted this is not just accuracy, right, but the ability to really turn a forecast, right? So just the ability to condense the actual cycle of that has been as important as, all the other things that we talk about. So yeah, I think that we take that expectation very seriously. And that's something that I think all of us here, realize about kind of what our role is, in the next year or two, right? Is try to be as practical, as clear-eyed as we possibly can with our clients. The only other thing that Vince and I are talking about this week is, we want to get to a point next year where we are actually reviewing clients' models,
Right.
not words, right? We've got to turn words into numbers, and then we can engage in those numbers and talk about what other things and how. But right now we're still in the words process, right? What are they doing? How are they thinking about it?
It's fascinating because everybody, wants to talk about AI, but they're like, when are you ready to do something? They're like, well, 3 years from now.
Yes.
You're like, well, 3 years from now, you're going to be too late, right? And coming back to some of the other points you just made there, that I think is very important, Carl, as well, is we're all in this cyclical forecasting. We do forecasts once a month. We do budgets once a year, right? And then a new president gets elected and all of a sudden the world falls apart. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff and everybody wants to respond to it, or there's new tariffs, or there's new something else, or something happens in the Middle East and you got to deal with that as well. And you need a new forecast immediately. Well, if you don't have the muscle memory to be able to do that, if all you can do is monthly forecasting, you're dead in the water. You can't actually do a forecast. And so you're absolutely right. I think we need to figure out and steward, I guess, is the better way to think about it, is how this process is going to change over time. How are we going to help our clients? Because we hold the key, we're responsible, right? We're helping them drive that change. So we do have to start thinking about how do we change that perspective of forecasting. And what a forecast is. It's not just this once a month kind of just, well, we'll do it kind of deal. There's so much happening in the world that we always have to be able to respond to.
Are you suggesting all companies go to hourly forecasting now?
Oh,
I doubt it. Hourly forecast probably not, but certainly some
Do an on-demand forecast. That's just instead of monthly. So yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, on demand is a good way to think about it.
what's interesting about that, you talked about shortening cycle times, right? And in this industry, we talked about that in closing consolidation for years, about shortening that cycle time. And we talked about it in FP&A and planning, but it wasn't the same, right? And now, not only are we saying shorten the cycle time, but it's so short so you can run it whenever you need it on demand, right? It's almost a completely different mindset there.
It's been a change over the years, yeah, for sure. And I think that's we headed there for a while. You've seen companies that are successful have better forecasting and can make decisions at a much faster pace. So I've seen the ones that invest in that have been very successful.
Right.
Certainly seen that.
I've been thinking about a couple of comments that you guys said. We're talking about Excel was the old way, pry it out of my cold dead hands, and your old models, right? But then we also need AI models to be able to figure out what your model is. So if I was at a company and I want to go into the AI future, how do I prepare a model? What is involved in this? What is the old model versus the new model?
Well, I think there's definitely a technology angle to it.
Okay.
But there's also, just as Carl highlighted earlier, there's the just start somewhere, right? You can't solve the whole thing at one time. You're not gonna be able to put in AI tomorrow, and all of a sudden your entire business is turning on a dime, and you've got the on-demand forecast and stuff like that. But you're also not gonna solve the problem by doing nothing, right? So you'd have to start somewhere, and maybe it's a small slice of your business. Maybe it's the product line, or maybe it's a particular problem. And it comes down to identifying what is your biggest thing that you need to solve. Let's look at that problem and see if there are small wins or areas of that problem that we can fine-tune with an AI model and start some training around. Because once you have that initial success, and we've seen that in our customers, once you have that initial success, you can keep building on that.
We start a lot of discussions with it's crawl, walk, run.
Right.
And a lot of people start with run.
Right.
And maybe walk, but it's crawl, walk, run.
A lot of the lessons you're describing seem like nothing's changed, right? It's just an evolution of the way we've done this, right? How we went from Excel and then driver-based planning. It's AI now. A lot of people are acting like this is something new and I have to act completely different. But it seems like it's just the next step in a path that we've been taking for years.
Yeah, one of the things I would like to challenge all of us, and I think the industry is, I heard, that some of the folks at Walmart talk about this topic as they basically start to explain that in their process review meetings, they have to explain why they're not using AI, right? Why they have to literally defend any current operational component that's not fully taking advantage of AI.
It's fascinating.
The only thing I would say is I actually do think this is not just another iteration.
Right.
I hope that all of us see this as something that we actually have to start from the other side. Well, I don't think we want to go just one step further using models, right? I think we actually need to go all the way to the end and almost like assume that all of this will be done this way, right? And then challenge where that could happen today and the processes to kind of get it there. Because one of the things we really believe at Black Diamond around OneStream is that AI will only happen within the app layer first, right? It's not going to come from the outside, right? Separate from a process that you're already doing and solving all these things. It's going to actually come within OneStream, within the workflows, within the things you're already doing, right? And that's why we're so, that's why we drive so much focus in our passion for how to leverage AI within the OneStream platform, right? Because we know that's our fastest path. We know that's where the users are. That's the processes they're using, So yeah, I love the concept of incremental, but I hope that like our mindset is a little different. Driver-based planning honestly was incremental.
Right.
Right? There were drivers in our mild, in our Excel models. True. They just weren't data. It's true. Right now, this is just a different thing to kind of think about.
Right.
I do like the way you put that, Carl, in terms of the within the app layer. It reminds me so much of what the opening words were in the architecture books that we went through for OneStream, which is extensibility. This is just another layer of extensibility.
Clearly.
You're basically making the application do stuff that you don't have to do yourself.
Right.
And if you're constantly focusing on doing these things and clicking those buttons, and you need to employ 5 people to make sure this process works, you're not doing it the right way. It's true, really aren't. And so just looking at OneStream as a platform, I mean, that is just one of our key points around AI overall is the platform approach. And then also then applying that extensibility lens to it and starting to extend and really focus on, it's more than just metadata. It's actually the process, right?
Yeah.
I think I like that. I like that perspective on it. Yeah, sure.
Well, also, OneStream as the platform is a data store as well, right? So we already have a lot of data in there. So it's just new things we can do with the data, right? To come up with new analysis.
The interesting thing about that is we will also see this change through our clients as well. We've got a client right now that we're speaking to that started their OneStream journey 8 years ago.
Okay.
When I got on the phone with that client, we listed up the 5 things we needed to do for this new initiative that they hired us on to do. And they were like, oh, we can do those first 3 things. We just need your help at number 4 and number 5. And it made a huge difference. The whole maturity of the conversation was different. And so I think you're right as well, Carl. Like if we start within the application layer and start looking at the processes, we are going to get to a point where you're going to have clients that are going to be able to do these things and do them really quickly and focus their energies on the models and actually training models. And then you have other clients who might still be, drummed down by that monthly forecast process. That's all they can do.
Right.
They've got all their workforce already dedicated to producing forecasts and uploading plans from Excel and things like that. So I think that's an important perspective is to think about it from that there as well.
Well, this has been a great conversation. Do you have anything else to add in closing?
I mean, I think for me, all this comes back to that education piece, right? It's, like we said, that you've got a lot of data in your solutions today. You've got the platform to do it in OneStream. So now it comes down to around education about what you can do with that information, what the right starting points is. Pick a process and go with it. You don't need to solve everything all at once. It's pick something and start to run. The worst thing that I think organizations can do today is to not do it and worry about the end state. To Carl's point, we know it's here. Challenge every process that you can, but start somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things that I want to make sure that we have the chance to do is we're going to be launching a book on AI here in the next month. And, we take this education process very, very seriously. I think, like I said, that's kind of our charter. And I think one of the things, it's not just about Black Diamond. I think the change happens through the partners. I think that the partners are the ones that really have to lead in this area. That's, so I'm so excited. And we obviously got a lot of friends with a lot of the other partners and just having conversations this week about, those things. We had a session last week with a client and the CFO so they've been using OneStream for about a year. And it's basically, he kind of came to the team. He's like, hey, we've earned the right to actually examine now our entire process around the use of AI and the use of OneStream. And we are like on this mission now. That's what I mean. It's just a different journey, right? Like we've got the machete, right? Like we're actually having to do the machete now, or going through the path, right? Because it's not a clear path, right? It's not like we need to know where we're cutting and where we're going to stop, but how far to go before we turn back. Right. So I think the journey that's been like I said, it's been probably one of the greatest joys for several of us is like to have this come this stage of our careers. Right.
It's exciting. No, for me, I would say, we said it earlier, show us your models, show us your problems. That's what we're here to solve.
Right.
Like we're Black Diamond Advisory. We're not just Black Diamond implementers of OneStream.
Absolutely.
We're here to advise you and help you through that process. And we take it really seriously. The stewardship that we spoke about earlier, It is very important for us to solve problems. That's what we live for. That's why we enjoy what we do.
It's true.
So yeah, show us your models, show us your problems, show us your roadmap, and don't, you guys have already said it, so I won't repeat it too much, but don't stall, right? Don't wait.
Yeah, that's it. Is that there's a lot of AI chatter.
Right.
Everybody talks about AI. It's a great talking point. It's time for action. Let's put something down on paper, create a roadmap, crawl, walk, run. It's time to go. Like somebody told me once, if you don't have an AI plan now, you might be too late. So let's go.
Let's go.
Well, thanks, gentlemen, and let's have a great squash.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.